All right, ready to dive deep. Today, it's all about the psychology of magnetic femininity. And we're using Reece Weaver from that Netflix doc, America's Sweethearts. You know the one?
Yeah, Reece Weaver, definitely a fascinating case study.
Totally. She's got everyone captivated, and we're going to figure out why. But, going beyond just the surface level, we've got this analysis of her charisma. And it's saying it's not just about looks, though. I mean, she's stunning.
Absolutely, the analysis dives into what it calls Reese's unselfish and flowing nature.
Mm.
She just has this warmth, and it makes her stand out, especially in the cheerleading world, which, let's face it, can get pretty competitive.
You're so right. And there's actually research backing that up. Being altruistic can be
Yeah.
seriously attractive. There's this study, University of Cologne, they found that selfless people, they're seen as more desirable partners. It's like we're programmed to be drawn to kindness.
Makes you think, doesn't it? And that ties into the whole magnetic personality idea. Not talking about like manipulation or anything. Psychologists, they describe it as a sort of effortless charisma. Like it comes from genuine warmth, authenticity, that sort of thing.
So not forcing it, basically, just being comfortable with yourself, which is easier said than done, right?
For sure. But the analysis, it suggests Reese's trust in life plays a big role. They talk about her faith, she's Christian, as a grounding force, but I think it goes beyond that.
Oh, absolutely. It's about having faith in something bigger than yourself, whether it's like a higher power, the universe, or just your own path. There's even a quote from Reese in the source. She trusts that what is meant for her will find her.
Wow, that really says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And think about the impact of someone who seems that self-assured. Studies show we tend to see them as less anxious, more trustworthy, basically more attractive.
Yeah, like their peace rubs off on you, especially in a crazy world. But here's where it gets interesting. The analysis also mentions this mix of innocence and sensuality in Reese. Kind of a paradox, right?
It's a fascinating combo.
Hmm.
The source describes her as confident in her body, but with a sweetness of playfulness. Never, like, overtly provocative.
But that balance is key, I think. It goes back to authenticity, owning your attractiveness without being defined by it.
It's subtle, but so alluring. Because it shows confidence, but she's also approachable. Like, she's comfortable in her own skin, not playing games.
And in a world obsessed with image, that's refreshing,
Right.
right? It links back to her faith, too, which the analysis really emphasizes as central to who she is.
Definitely important to her, but like we were saying, I think the principles, faith, trust, going with the flow, those are universal. It's about having that inner compass, whatever guides it.
And that translates into a calmness, a confidence that's magnetic. She's not pushing, just being. It's powerful, especially when you contrast it with her environment, cheerleading, which can be very me first.
Hmm. Very true. But the analysis highlights Reese's selflessness, how she's always lifting others up. Doesn't seem to need validation, which is rare these days.
It really is, and that generosity, it's so refreshing. Makes you wonder, why are we drawn to people who genuinely want to help others?
It feels real.
Yeah.
Maybe even rare, a breath of fresh air when everything's so focused on the individual. And maybe that's part of Reese's magic. She's showing a different way of being, one where generosity and connection matter. Which brings us to how we define feminine power. Because Reese, she embodies a model of femininity that embraces grace, flow, that receptiveness.
Yeah, but without sacrificing strength, the analysis makes it clear she rejects those old stereotypes of passivity, being weak.
Definitely. It's nuanced, and it really speaks to today's conversations about femininity.
Yeah.
How do we embrace our strengths without fitting into these outdated boxes? Reese, she gives us a glimpse of what's possible.
We've covered so much, but I feel like we're just scratching the surface here.
Absolutely. And in the next part, we'll dig even deeper, especially into this balance of strength and softness that Reese embodies so well.
Stay tuned because there's much more to come. We're back and we're still unpacking this idea of magnetic femininity with Reece Weaver as our guide.
And it's important as we go deeper to remember this isn't about, putting everyone in a box. Femininity has so many forms.
Totally. There's no one right way to be feminine.
Exactly. Reese just happens to embody this archetype that
Yeah.
really clicks with people.
And the analysis, it lays out some key elements, like how effortlessly she blends strength and softness. Assertive 1 minute, receptive the next.
Powerful and vulnerable. It's really interesting.
And it's almost like the vulnerability itself becomes a strength.
Absolutely. It lets her connect with others on a much deeper, more authentic level.
And that feeling of genuine connection, that's huge EE when it comes to magnetism.
It really is. It's funny because we often think of magnetism as this almost like larger than life thing, a bit untouchable.
Yeah, you're right.
But Reese, She's the opposite. It's her approachability, that down-to-earth vibe, those are key to her appeal.
So it flips the script on how we usually see charisma. It's not about projecting outward.
More about creating space for others to feel seen, heard, valued, that sort of thing.
And Reese seems to do that naturally, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt. The source mentions how she's always focused on others, genuinely interested in their lives.
That kind of generosity, it's so rare and so attractive.
It makes you want to be around her, part of that energy.
It speaks to something deeper about magnetism, right? It's not about grabbing the spotlight.
It's about letting others shine too.
I bet some of our listeners are like, okay, sounds good, but how do you actually cultivate this?
Yeah, it can feel mysterious. Yeah, either you got it or you don't.
Like it's a magical gift.
But the good news is it's not. It's not innate. It's something you build over time.
So where do we start?
Self-awareness is always a good place, getting to know your strengths, your weaknesses, your values.
From there, you can focus on the qualities that really speak to you.
Like trust, flow, generosity, authenticity, that kind of thing.
And remembering, it's a journey.
Ups and downs, moments of doubt. Totally normal.
It's about coming back to your center.
That inner peace, that's where your real magnetism is.
And as you build that, you'll start attracting the right people, the right opportunities.
Not by forcing it, but just by the energy you give off.
Powerful, but welcoming. Confident, but kind.
That's the magnetism that lasts.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this part, a question for you all listening. What's one tiny step you can take today to cultivate that energy?
It could be practicing gratitude, setting a boundary, speaking your truth.
Yeah, whatever feels right.
The journey is worth it.
Because when you tap into your authentic magnetism, it unlocks so much potential.
Pretty powerful stuff, right?
It really is. And in the last part, we're going to keep exploring this idea of magnetic energy, so stick with us. And we're back. It's the final part of our deep dive into, well, Reece Weaver's magnetic charm. What makes her tick, and what can we be learned from it?
It's been fascinating, right? Seeing how she combines strength, grace, authenticity.
We went beyond just the surface, her looks, though those are definitely captivating. But there's more, those deeper qualities.
Like trusting in life's flow, her generosity, that balance of innocence and sensuality. It's a potent mix.
It's like she's tapped into some inner source of power, and it just radiates out.
It does, and that's why people find her so compelling to watch, to learn from.
The source we're using, they call her a model of femininity. I think that's important to really think about.
Yeah, it challenges us to question what femininity even means, right?
Does it have to be soft-spoken, submissive?
Or could it be way more than that? Strength, resilience, a strong sense of self, those two.
Reece, she seems to embody that broader view.
Doesn't shy away from being powerful, but vulnerable too. Assertive and receptive.
Makes her such a strong role model, don't you think?
Absolutely. She shows us we don't got to limit ourselves to one definition.
We can embrace all of who we are, light and shadow.
And in doing so, we find this wellspring of power. That's what's truly magnetic.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, one final thought to leave you with.
What if we all tried to embrace those magnetic qualities we see in Reece?
The trust, the flow, the generosity being real.
Imagine what kind of impact we could have.
If everyone shined bright without dimming anyone else's light.
It'd be pretty incredible, wouldn't it?
Maybe along the way, we'd all become a bit more magnetic ourselves.
Who knows, maybe one day we'll be the subject of a Netflix doc.
Huh. Now that's a thought. But seriously, I hope this deep dive has given you all something to think about.
Remember, magnetism isn't about being perfect or pretending to be someone you're not.
It's about owning who you are, quirks and all.
And trusting that in doing so, you become an undeniable force.
So go out there and be magnetic.
The world needs what you've got.
And that's a wrap on the deep dive. Thanks for joining us.